Every single week, without thinking about it, you walk into a supermarket and hand over your money for the same vegetables, the same herbs, the same staples: tomatoes, onions, garlic, spinach, peppers, potatoes, sweet potatoes, carrots, cucumbers, beans, lettuce, ginger, herbs, pumpkin, chili, week after week, year after year, for the rest of your life. And nobody ever stops to ask, what if I just grew these myself? Not someday, not when I have a farm, not when I have more space or more money or more time. Right now, in whatever space I already have. Because here's the truth that the supermarket industry does not want you to sit with. Every single one of those plants can be grown by anyone willing to try, in a backyard, a balcony, a collection of containers, or a windowsill. And the version you grow yourself is not just cheaper. It is more nutritious, more flavorful, and more powerful than anything sitting on any shelf in any store you have ever walked into. I am going to prove that to you today, plant by plant, with the science, the history, and the exact growing instructions for every climate zone on Earth. But I need you to stay with me, because number 3 on this list is the one where the supermarket has been quietly deceiving you for decades, and most people have no idea. Number 7 is the plant that NASA chose as the primary food crop for long-duration space missions, and you can grow it in a container on your porch. And number 12 is the one that is going to completely change your mind about what a home garden can actually do. Before we get into this list, I need you to know how these 15 plants were chosen, because this is not a survival fantasy, not a homesteader's wish list, and not something I pulled from the internet this morning. Every plant had to pass 3 tests. Fail 1, it is off the list. First, you have to already be buying it every week without thinking, already in your cart, already leaving your wallet. These are not exotic ingredients you need to develop a taste for. These are the foods already feeding your family right now. Second, the version you grow has to be provably better than the version you buy. Not slightly fresher, measurably better. In nutrition, in flavor, in the actual compounds your body needs. I will show you the science on every single one. Not opinions. Actual peer-reviewed research you can verify the moment this video ends. Third, anyone with the will to try has to be able to grow it. Zone 3 in Canada, Zone 7 in the Mid-Atlantic, Zone 10 in Southern California. Every plant on this list works for you, in your conditions, with what you already have. 3 tests, 15 plants. Let us get into it. Plant 1. Tomato. The tomato is the most emotionally loaded vegetable on Earth, because everyone who has ever eaten a tomato straight from the vine knows that what supermarkets sell is not the same food, and there is a scientific reason for that. Supermarket tomatoes are harvested green, before the lycopene and flavor compounds fully develop, and then gassed with ethylene to turn them red artificially. The result is a tomato that looks right but has up to 60% less lycopene than a vine-ripened tomato. Lycopene is the compound linked to reduced risk of heart disease and certain cancers. You are paying for a tomato that is nutritionally incomplete by design, because a fully ripe tomato cannot survive the supply chain. Yours can ripen on the vine because it only has to travel from your garden to your kitchen. Tomatoes grow in zones 5 through 11. In zones 3 and 4, start indoors 6 to 8 weeks before last frost. In zones 9 through 11 and tropical climates, tomatoes can produce nearly year-round, with afternoon shade during peak heat. Plant 18 to 24 inches apart. Choose indeterminate varieties. They keep producing all season instead of stopping after one flush. Time to harvest: 60 to 85 days from transplant. 1 plant. Dozens of tomatoes. 0 ethylene gas. Up next, the vegetable that sits at the base of almost every dish ever cooked in human history. And the supermarket is doing something to it after harvest that is banned in several countries. Plant 2. Onion. There is not a cuisine on earth that does not begin with an onion. It is the foundation of flavor across every culture, every continent, every generation of cooking. And most supermarket onions are treated with a chemical called maleic hydrazide, a sprout inhibitor sprayed on them after harvest to extend shelf life. The European Union has strict limits on it. It is under ongoing regulatory review in the US. Homegrown onions need none of it. They store naturally. They sprout when they are ready. They are alive in a way supermarket onions are not. Nutritionally, onions are rich in quercetin, one of the most studied anti-inflammatory compounds in food science, as well as chromium, which supports natural blood sugar regulation. Onions grow in zones 3 through 10. For beginners, grow from sets rather than seeds. It dramatically reduces failure rate and gets you to harvest faster. Plant 4 to 6 inches apart. In northern zones, plant in early spring. In zones 8 through 10, plant in fall for a spring harvest. Critical note for tropical growers. If you are in zone 10 through 12, you must use short day varieties specifically. Standard long day onions will not form bulbs properly in tropical day-length conditions. Varieties like Gran X or local tropical short day onions are what you need. Time to harvest: 60 to 90 days from sets. One bed of onions replaces a year of supermarket purchases. Plant 3. Garlic. I told you at the start that number 3 was the one where the supermarket has been quietly deceiving you. Here it is. Most garlic sold in supermarkets, and the majority of garlic sold globally, is imported. Bleached with chlorine to whiten it, and treated with methyl bromide, a fumigant, to prevent sprouting during shipping. But here is the deeper problem. The compound that makes garlic, one of the most studied medicinal foods on Earth, is called allicin. Allicin is what gives garlic its antimicrobial, anti-inflammatory, and cardiovascular benefits. It has been documented in peer-reviewed research across hundreds of studies. Allicin does not exist in garlic until you crush it. When you crush garlic, an enzyme called alliinase converts alliin into allicin. That conversion begins immediately, and it degrades within hours. Garlic that has been sitting in a shipping container for 3 to 6 months before reaching a supermarket shelf, then bleached, then waxed, still produces allicin when you crush it. But the enzyme activity is dramatically reduced. The garlic that looks fine and smells fine is producing a fraction of the compound you think you are getting. Your homegrown garlic, fresh from the ground, with the enzyme fully intact. That is what every study on garlic's health properties was actually testing. Garlic grows in zones 3 through 9 for hardneck varieties, the most flavorful. In zones 7 through 11 grow softneck varieties which tolerate less cold. The critical tip that most beginners miss: plant garlic in fall, October to November in most of the US, for a summer harvest the following year. It needs a cold period to develop properly. In tropical zones, zone 10 through 12, chill your seed cloves in the refrigerator for 4 weeks before planting to simulate winter. Use softneck varieties. Plant in your coolest season. Space 6 inches apart. Time to harvest, 8 to 9 months. But you plant it once, and it asks almost nothing of you until harvest. This is not just a food. This is medicine you grow yourself. Plant 4. Spinach and leafy greens. Spinach is the vegetable most people point to when they want to feel like they are eating healthily. And they are right. Spinach is genuinely one of the most nutrient-dense foods on Earth. The problem is time. Spinach loses up to 50% of its folate and vitamin C within 8 days of harvest. Most supermarket spinach is 2 to 3 weeks old before it reaches your plate. The bag in your refrigerator looks green, but nutritionally, you are eating a shadow of what spinach actually is. Your garden spinach goes from soil to plate in under an hour. That is a completely different food. Spinach grows in zones 3 through 9, and it is a cool season crop. Plant in early spring or fall. Time to harvest is 37 to 45 days, one of the fastest on this list. Use the cut and come again method. Never pull the whole plant. Cut outer leaves and it regrows continuously. For tropical growers, in zones 10 through 12, standard spinach will bolt immediately in heat. Grow Malabar spinach instead, botanical name Bacella alba. It thrives in heat and humidity, climbs a trellis beautifully, and is equally nutritious. It is specifically adapted to the growing conditions across the American South, the Caribbean, and tropical regions worldwide. Plant 5. Bell pepper and chili pepper. Bell peppers are among the most expensive vegetables per pound in most American supermarkets, and almost nobody knows that a single bell pepper plant, in a decent growing season, will produce 6 to 10 full-sized peppers from one plant. The nutrition case is remarkable. One medium bell pepper contains 3 times the vitamin C of an orange, 3 times. And yet most people reach for orange juice for their vitamin C and ignore the pepper. Peppers grow in zones 5 through 12. They love heat. In cooler zones, 5 and 6, start indoors 8 to 10 weeks before last frost. Use black containers which absorb more warmth and dramatically increase yield in shorter seasons. In zones 9 through 12, peppers become perennial shrubs. A single plant can produce for 3 to 5 years. One planting. Years of peppers. Chili peppers follow the same growing profile with even higher productivity per plant. One prolific chili plant will produce more chili than most families can consume in a season. Plant 6. Potato. The potato is the most consumed vegetable on Earth by total volume. It has fed more people, sustained more civilizations, and prevented more famine than any other single crop in human history. And the supermarket is spraying yours with chlorprofam, a sprout inhibitor applied after harvest that is absorbed into the flesh of the potato. You cannot wash it off. It does not cook off. You eat it. The EU restricted chlorprofam in 2020. The US still permits it. Your homegrown potato has never seen it. Nutritionally, a single medium potato has more potassium than a banana, more vitamin C than most people expect, and it is one of the most genuinely filling, calorie-sustaining foods you can grow. Potatoes grow in zones 3 through 10. The best beginner method is the grow bag. Fill a fabric bag with compost, plant your seed potato, and when the plant flowers, tip the bag over to harvest. No digging, no tools. Pure abundance. In zones 10 through 12, grow potatoes in your cool, dry season only. Peak tropical heat and humidity cause disease and poor tuber formation. Time your planting to your coolest months. Time to harvest, 70 to 120 days depending on variety. Plant 7. Sweet potato. I told you number 7 was going to surprise you. NASA, the space agency, when they began designing food systems for long-duration space missions, evaluated hundreds of crops for the ideal space food. The criteria were maximum nutrition per pound, efficient growth in limited space, caloric density, and minimal inputs. The crop they kept returning to was the sweet potato. It covers more nutritional bases in a single food than almost anything else that grows in soil. Complex carbohydrates for sustained energy, beta-carotene, the precursor to vitamin A, at levels that make it one of the richest sources on Earth. Vitamin C, manganese, fiber. It is a complete food in a way almost nothing else is. And in tropical and subtropical zones, zones 8 through 12, the leaves are also edible. Highly nutritious leaves that can be harvested continuously without touching the root. one plant giving you two completely different harvests simultaneously. Sweet potatoes grow in zones 5 through 12. Do not grow from seed. Grow from slips. Take it sweet potato, an organic one if possible. Place it half submerged in water. Within 2 to 3 weeks, it will produce slips, small shoots emerging from the flesh. Snap those slips off. Place them in water until they root, then plant them out. Space 12 to 18 inches apart. Time to harvest: 90 to 120 days. In Zone 3 and 4, grow in containers that you can move indoors before frost. Sweet potatoes need 4 frost-free months minimum. Plant 8. Carrot. The carrot most people have eaten their entire lives is orange, but the original carrot, grown for thousands of years before industrial agriculture standardized production, was purple and black and red and yellow. Those heritage varieties contain up to 3 times the antioxidants of the modern orange carrot. The orange carrot won not because it was more nutritious, but because it was easier to process, photograph, and sell. Supermarket carrots are washed in a chlorine solution after harvest and coated in a thin wax film to preserve appearance. The baby carrots in the bag are not small carrots. They are large carrots mechanically shaved into small shapes and recoated. Grow your own, and you can grow purple, black, and red varieties that no supermarket will ever stock because they do not photograph cleanly enough for packaging. Carrots grow in zones 3 through 10. The single most important thing for carrot success is loose, stone-free soil at least 12 inches deep. They fork and stunt in compacted ground. The solution for most gardeners is a deep container or a raised bed with fluffy, sifted compost. Plant 3 inches apart. Thin ruthlessly once sprouted. Crowded carrots are small carrots. In tropical zones, cool season growing only. Look for heat-tolerant varieties specifically bred for shorter, hotter seasons. Plant 9. Cucumber. Here is something almost nobody knows about the cucumber sitting in your refrigerator right now. Cucumbers are 96% water. That makes them extremely vulnerable to moisture loss during long-distance transport. So supermarket cucumbers are coated with either shellac, a resin derived from lac insects, or petroleum-based wax to seal the moisture in. You are eating wax every time. Homegrown cucumbers need no wax because they travel 6 feet from the vine to your hand. They are also dramatically more flavorful. The difference between a fresh-picked cucumber and a supermarket cucumber is one of the most startling taste comparisons in all of gardening. Cucumbers grow in zones 4 through 12. The single best technique for small spaces is trellis growing. Train the vine upward, not outward. A single cucumber plant on a 6-foot trellis takes almost no horizontal ground space and produces 10 to 20 cucumbers per season. Time to harvest: 50 to 70 days. One of the fastest crops on this entire list. And once they start producing, you must pick every 2 days. Left on the vine, cucumbers signal the plant to stop producing. Plant 10. Beans. Beans solve the protein question for a home garden. They are one of the most complete plant protein sources available. They are rich in folate, iron, and magnesium. And they do something no other plant on this list does. They fix nitrogen. As bean roots grow, they host bacteria that pull nitrogen from the air and deposit it into your soil. Beans are literally improving your garden while they feed you. Plant them, harvest them, and the bed they grew in is measurably more fertile than before. Beans grow in zones 3 through 11. Always choose climbing varieties over bush varieties. 3 times the yield from the same ground footprint. Time to harvest: 50 to 60 days for green beans. In tropical zones, zones 10 through 12, grow yard-long beans, botanical name Vigna unguiculata. They are specifically adapted to tropical heat, produce prolifically in conditions where standard beans struggle, and are already a staple across West Africa, Southeast Asia, and the Caribbean. Plant 11. Lettuce and salad leaves. Pre-packed salad is one of the most purchased ready-to-eat items in American supermarkets. It is also one of the most scientifically troubling. Pre-washed bagged salad is treated with a chlorine wash, sometimes up to 20 times the concentration of a swimming pool, to extend shelf life. Multiple studies, including research published in Applied and Environmental Microbiology, found that this wash can actually increase the virulence of certain bacteria in the bag, rather than eliminate them. Beyond that, lettuce loses the majority of its folate and vitamin C within 3 days of harvest. By the time bagged salad reaches your plate, it is as such lies. It has been sitting in modified atmosphere packaging for up to 2 weeks. The fastest crop on this list solves this problem completely. Lettuce grows in zones 3 through 11. Time to harvest: 30 to 45 days. Plant in any container, window box, or small bed. Cut and come again varieties give 4 to 6 harvests from a single planting. In zones 10 through 12, grow in shade, morning sun, afternoon shade. Grow in your cooler season. Direct tropical sun bolts lettuce within days of planting. Plant 12. Ginger. I told you number 12 would change your mind about what a home garden can do. Most people look at ginger and think, that is a tropical root. That is an exotic ingredient. That is not something I can grow. Every one of those assumptions is wrong. Here is what the supermarket ginger is actually doing to the root before it reaches you. Most imported ginger is irradiated, exposed to ionizing radiation to kill pathogens and prevent sprouting during shipping. Fresh homegrown ginger contains gingerol levels. That is the primary bioactive compound in ginger, at concentrations up to 10 times higher than the pale, fibrous, dried-out root most people buy. Gingerol is not a wellness buzzword. It is a compound documented in peer-reviewed research to reduce muscle pain, reduce nausea, lower blood sugar, and reduce inflammatory markers in the body. The Journal of Pain published research confirming its effect on exercise-induced muscle soreness. Research in the journal Phytotherapy research documented its effects on blood sugar regulation. That compound is dramatically reduced in supermarket ginger. Your homegrown root has it in full. Ginger grows outdoors in zones 7 through 12. In zones 4 through 6, grow in containers. Bring them inside in winter. Ginger is a container superstar. Start with a tea ginger root that has visible growth nodes, the small bumps on the surface. Plant it just below the surface in rich, moist, well-draining compost. Keep it warm and moist. Within 2 to 3 weeks, you will see shoots. Time to harvest: 8 to 10 months for mature ginger. 4 months for baby ginger. Younger, more tender, less fibrous. In zones 10 through 12, ginger is a garden powerhouse. Plant in partial shade. Keep moist. One rhizome becomes many within a single season. You will never buy ginger again. This is medicine growing in a pot on your porch. Plant 13. Herbs: basil, thyme, rosemary, parsley. Let me tell you something about the supermarket herb section that will change how you see it forever. A small packet of fresh rosemary at most supermarkets costs between $2 and $4 for approximately 20 grams. A rosemary bush, once established in your garden, will supply your family with rosemary for 20 years without a single additional purchase. Think about what you spend on small plastic herb packets across your lifetime. Hundreds of dollars for a plant that costs $3 once and never needs replacing. And the nutrition case goes beyond flavor. Rosemary contains rosmarinic acid, studied for neuroprotective properties. Thyme contains thymol, a documented antimicrobial compound. Basil contains eugenol, with genuine anti-inflammatory properties. Thyme and rosemary grow in zones 5 through 11 as perennials, meaning you plant them once and they produce indefinitely. Basil grows in zones 8 through 12 outdoors, or in containers anywhere with warmth and sun. In zones 10 through 12, Mediterranean herbs, like rosemary and thyme, struggle with humidity. Grow basil, lemongrass, scent leaf, botanical name Ocimum gratissimum, and other locally adapted herbs that are naturally suited to tropical growing conditions. The principle is the same: one planting, years of free herbs. Plant 14. Pumpkin and squash. If you need to understand the pure abundance that a home garden can produce, grow a pumpkin. One seed, one plant, 10 to 20 kilograms of food. Stored correctly, in a cool, dry, dark space, a pumpkin lasts 6 months without refrigeration. No other plant on this list produces more food per plant or stores longer without any technology whatsoever. That is a food security argument in a single vegetable. Nutritionally, pumpkin is rich in beta-carotene, vitamin A, vitamin C, fiber, and potassium. It is one of the most calorie-dense vegetables you can grow, meaning it contributes meaningfully to your household's actual caloric needs, not just nutritional supplementation. Pumpkins and squash grow in zones 3 through 12. They sprawl. Vines can reach 10 feet or more. The solution for small spaces? Train them vertically over a strong fence or trellis. Support the developing fruit with a cloth sling tied to the structure. Turns a space problem into a vertical abundance solution. Time to harvest: 75 to 100 days. In tropical zones, local varieties of squash and tropical pumpkin are extraordinarily well adapted. In West Africa, fluted pumpkin, Telfaria occidentalis, is among the most nutritious crops on the continent and grows aggressively in tropical conditions. Both the fruit and the leaves are harvested. Every part of the plant feeds you. Plant 15. Chili is the most widely consumed spice on Earth. It crosses every culture, every cuisine, every income level. From the American South to West Africa to Southeast Asia to Mexico to India, chili is universal, and a single chili plant, in a decent growing season, produces hundreds of chilies. Hundreds, from one plant. The nutritional profile of chili is genuinely remarkable. Capsaicin, the compound that creates heat, has documented effects on metabolism, pain signaling, and cardiovascular health. Chili contains more vitamin C than most citrus fruits. It is rich in vitamin A and vitamin B6. Chili grows in zones 5 through 12. It is one of the most container-friendly plants on this list. A single pot on a sunny porch or balcony is all it needs. In cooler zones, 5 and 6, bring your container plant indoors before frost. Chili plants are perennial. A 3-year-old chili plant produces significantly more than a first-year plant. You are not starting over every season. You are building on what you already have. In zones 10 through 12, and particularly across West Africa, the Caribbean, and tropical Asia, chili plants become small trees within 2 to 3 seasons. A single plant left to mature in tropical conditions will supply an entire household with more chili than they can consume. The variety and heat level available to a home grower in the tropics far exceeds anything available in any market. 15 plants. Every single one of them already in your shopping cart, already in your weekly budget, already feeding your family? Except right now, someone else is growing them, processing them, shipping them, and charging you for every step of that journey. Together, these 15 plants cover your complete nutritional needs. Carbohydrates from potatoes and sweet potatoes, protein from beans, vitamins from tomatoes, peppers, and leafy greens, anti-inflammatory medicine from garlic and ginger, flavor and phytonutrients from herbs and chili, caloric density and long-term storage from pumpkin. This is not a list of 15 random vegetables. This is a complete food system. Every civilization that survived and thrived before supermarkets existed built their food supply around plants exactly like these. The knowledge was never lost. It just stopped being passed down. You now have it. The question is not whether you can grow these plants. You can. every single one of them, in whatever space you have, in whatever zone you are growing in, at whatever skill level you are starting from. And if this video changed how you think about your garden or your grocery bill, like, share, and subscribe. I will see you in the next one.